Good morning, class. Welcome to another poetry lesson. Today you are going to be writing a type of poem called a cinquain. And I shared this template with you. There are two ways you can write a cinquain. You can either write it by words or you can count the syllables. So this template does it with words. This is easier. So definitely, if you're struggling, try this way. And I'll show you the way you can do it with syllables too. Now, remember, a line in poetry is a row of words, and a cinquain has 5 lines. It's a Latin word, and I think the word sin means 5 or something like that. I have a tough time pronouncing this word, but I do know there's some reason why it's 5 lines. It has to be 5 lines. It is not rhyming. And you may say, but Mr. K, you said there's no rules in poetry. You're right. There are no rules. Unless you're trying to write a certain type of poem, then there might be rules. So when you're trying to write a cinquain, there are rules to write a cinquain. Of course, you can write any type of poem you want without any rules. But if you're trying to write a cinquain, you have to follow some rules. So let's see. Line 1 is the noun. Now, line 1 and line 5 are super important. So before you even start your poem, you have to think of what you want to write about. And that will be line 1 and line 5. So line 1, you think of the topic, and line 5, you have to think of a synonym. So before you even start writing, think of what you want to write about. Now, it could be something like the first line could be storm. Oh, I want to write about storms. And then the last line would be the type of storm, like hurricane or tornado. Maybe the first line is going to be candy, and then the last line will be a starburst. Or the first line could be bird, and the last line would be crow. Once you have your topic, then you can start your cinquain. So try to write about something that really speaks to you, something that interests you. It has to be a noun. And I came up with a couple cinquains, and I'm going to start with the word template. And what I want to write about are planets. And then more specifically, I want to write about Earth. So if your first line is more broad, then your last line should be like specific, meaning what exactly are you talking about? So maybe this will help. My first line is going to be planet. So I thought it out, and I know I really want to talk about Earth. I don't want to talk about Saturn. I don't want to talk about Venus. I want to talk about Earth. So notice how my first line is more general, and then my last line is more specific. So I'm going to talk about Earth in my poem. The first line has to be one word, and the last line has to be one word. So this is a good example about how one line in poetry can just be one word. I just did a line of poetry with the word planet. So line 2 is description. 2 words that describe your topic. Well, what is Earth like? Earth is blue. If you look at Earth from a satellite, you see a lot of blue, right? Because there's so many oceans. And Earth is round. It's not flat, it is round. It's a sphere, and we know that. And I decided to write about this because this ties in with our science unit too. And I am especially interested in Earth. So I have 2 lines, I have 3 lines already. So let's see what line 3 is. Action. You have to choose 3 action words, and those are verbs. And I encourage students to use ing words for line 3. So what does Earth do? Well, we know Earth is always spinning, right? And that's why we have day and night. We know Earth is orbiting, and that means it goes around the sun. And how long does it take? Well, it takes about 365 days to orbit the sun. It takes about 24 hours to do one spin or revolution. And then we also know that Earth is... So you are exploring this a little bit. It is tilting. And that's why we have our seasons. That's why it's hot in the summer and it's cooler in the winter. It is not because Earth is closer to the sun in the summer. It is because Earth is at a tilt. So let's read as I go. Planet, blue, round, spinning, orbiting, tilting. Notice these are all verbs and they all end in ing. So try to do that for line 3. Now, I like line 4. It's a feeling, a phrase. So what do we know about Earth that's different from other planets? And I thought of this. full of beautiful life. Because we know Earth is the only planet that we know of that has life on it, because it's the perfect distance from the sun. So I just did my Cinquain planet, blue round, spinning, orbiting, tilting, full of beautiful life, Earth. So have your first line be more general, your last line be more specific, and think of what you want to write about. Fill in your first and your last line, and then you can go ahead and try to use ing verbs, try to use adjectives for the second line. Then your fourth line is a phrase, and it's like a feeling phrase. I like this poem. I'm interested in it. I think, and make sure you do not repeat any words in your poetry. For a Cinquain especially, do not repeat anything. Did I repeat anything here? I did not. So I think since there are so few words, it's really a waste if you repeat a word. So try your best to not repeat a word. Try to use imagery. Think a lot about the words you're going to use. All right? That's my Cinquain if I use this template. Now, if I want to use the syllable template. So if you're going to write a Cinquain using syllables, the first line is 2. The second line is 4. The third line is 6. The fourth line is 8. And then the last line is 2. Now remember, we can count syllables by clapping them out or putting your hand under your chin and seeing how many times your chin hits your hand. I'll use the same type of template here, but I'm not going to count words. I'm going to count syllables instead. And instead of talking about a planet, I want to talk about something near and dear to me, my grandfather, because he is my hero. And in honor of Memorial Day, my first line, hero. And I know I'm going to talk about my grandfather, so I was general there, and I'm going to be more specific here. And I'm going to say grandpa for my last line. Notice how hero is 2 syllables and grandpa is 2 syllables. And that does not look like an A, Mr. K. That's all right. I'm just winging this. So now for the second line, we have to do some adjectives. And instead of just using words, I'm going to do the syllable template so I can throw in some more different words. I'm not worried about the amount of words. I'm more worried about the syllables. So my grandfather was brave. That's 1 syllable. And now I have 2, brave and noble. And noble means proud. It is a compliment if you are noble, and he was a noble man. So I have 4 syllables, and these are describing words. These are adjectives. He's brave and noble. And that's 4 syllables. Now for line 3, this is kind of my action line. And something that he did was he fought, because he fought in World War II. So fought to keep our freedom. Now let's count my syllables. Is it 6? Fought is 1. 2, that's 1, 2. Keep 3. 4 with our, and 5, 6, because freedom is 2 syllables. So fought to keep our freedom. And that's my action. That is something he did. Now for my fourth line, a feeling. And that's going to be a little more personal for me because it's the feeling line, and it has to be 8 syllables. So I'm going to say, and this is all from my heart, the man I try to be. So let's count my syllables. I hope I got it. The man, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, I don't have 8 syllables. The man, I know what I'll do. I need 2 more, so I'm going to put always, because that's a 2-syllable word. The man I always try to be. Now I have 8 syllables, and it's my feeling line. So this is the syllable template. Let me read it back. Hero, brave and noble. fought to keep our freedom. The man I always try to be, Grandpa. And there's another Cinquain. That one is the syllable model, or you can do it with the words and don't worry about the syllables. Or if you are really looking for a challenge, try to do both. Think of a topic that really interests you, something you care about, because poetry comes from the heart. Read it out loud as you're going. Don't worry if it doesn't flow that much, because it's poetry. It's different than regular writing. These aren't just sentences, so it's not supposed to flow. And I can't wait to read your Cinquains. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.